Hi, this is Graham Jeacocke. Now, education is the enemy of love, or compassion, or empathy. These type of words, and you can use these words to describe the same thing. Compassion is love, and compassion can be separate from love. Now, I want to use personal experience and say it how it is. Now, my mother died so many years ago, and I was by her bed in the hospital, as was my father and my eldest sister. Now, the problem lies in the fact that employers do not have the freedom to give over to their employees a number of hours to pay their respects to a person of a related individual when they are going through suffering, or even when it leads to the death of that individual. Because basically, education has only one focus in mind, and that is to get the individual making money in the most efficient way. Now, if that wasn't true, people would be able to cope with suffering far better. But the fact is, employers and society, who has been driven by this need to be educated to bring economic success, because you don't want to appear weak, because you don't want people taking advantage of you. Well, Christians were the weakest people out, and they conquered the whole world by converting and planting churches. So to say that you need to be economically successful to be successful is a big contradiction if we are to rely on reasoning alone. Now, when somebody dies, you want to be with that person because you want to experience death, because you will go through that yourself. You begin to see suffering in a new light. Now, I witnessed my mother dying, but the hardest thing was, if I can illustrate it, was if you remember the film King Kong, and at the end the heartbeat was emphasized. It was put in the forefront of your the sound. So you heard the da-dum, da-dum, and it grew weaker and weaker and weaker, and you sensed it was coming. Now, that was what my mother's death was like, because I need to explain something. My mother had a tracheostomy, and that was a result of problems with her thyroid gland. Now, it emphasized her breathing more. So, when she was laying down on the bed, you can hear the breathing, and it was sometimes strong, sometimes weak, and that unsettled me, really. But the thing is, people can be present or people cannot be present. Now, it's not, the problem lies in the empathy or the love of employers or the government. You see, atheists talk about showing love, showing compassion, showing empathy, but really they show love for money far more than they do for humanity. And death of your loved ones is proof of it. Because can people get time off to grieve? Can people get time off to visit their loved ones? And the answer, quite simply, is no. I mean, you might have the odd employer who does it, but you need to question, are they believers? You need to question their beliefs to see something reflected. It's like the laws of your land. It's not enough to say a law exists within the law. You have to look into the individual that wanted those laws to be enacted. Because they can either be a believer in Jesus or they cannot be a believer in Jesus. And I'm not saying that non-believers cannot be good. That's not what I'm saying. Now, the question is, why does society sit back and let your loved ones go into the next world without seeing that you're there by your side? I mean, we go on and talk about humanity. We put the pride of humanity. Let's take the look of the film Independence Day. Oh, you conquered aliens. The pride of the people to conquer aliens. Well, I tell you, there's an alien closer to hand. The alien to our human existence is love and compassion, because we have none. I'll say it again. We have no compassion. We see sporadic moments of it, but it's not continuous. It's not like our continuous infatuation, our love affair with money. Let's count the money in our hands to give us everything we need. And then you complain about suffering. You see, this is the atheist dilemma. You love to put money in your hands, but then you call out to God when He causes suffering. Well, if you showed a little love, then you would understand suffering in a different context. Anyway, I hope I got my point in the general direction I want it to go, and that is to think about things. I'm not trying to convert you. I'd like to see you change your ideas. But I'm just like a gardener throwing seeds into the ground to produce seedlings. But be wary of the weeds that distort the truth. Anyway, enjoy your days.